bits falling off cars, fuel tanks falling out and stuff. It doesn't happen anymore. And I mean, I do, a perverse way, I almost miss a bit of that.
So welcome back to the live chat area at the Newark Kit Car Show. And I'm really pleased to say I've got a good, I was going to say old friend, but you're not old.
I am.
A good friend of mine who we know each other quite a long time, Steve Hole of TKC Mag. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks, Trev.
Now, I was actually thinking back of when we first met. Can you remember?
Well, I think it was at the motorcycle show at the NEC in about 2000.
Well, you're close. It was the NEC.
Autos.
But it was the car show. It was on the Farbood stand.
Farbood stand, that's right. I remember that now.
Yeah.
That would have been about 99 then, 98.
Well, I think that was my Q8 Lubes days, so that was about 2001, 2002, I think around that kind of era.
Time flies.
But the little story that I've never told you about that is there was one thing that my employer at the time was very keen to get involved with. And I think that was around about the time people like Strathcarron had come and gone, and they were like, oh, we've got this new British sports car company, and they want us to get involved. And I said, well, in my usual cynical way, how long is it going to last? They said, oh, no, this one's different.
We've heard that before a lot of times over the years, sadly.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when the course of that case, it was proved right. But
yeah.
But anyway, we've moved on from that. But I was actually thinking back of that era of kit cars, particularly what we would see at a show then, as to what we see now, and how the market has changed. I think quite dramatically over that time. Would you say?
Definitely so. I do miss the old days. There was lots of stuff that was a bit sketchy and a little bit wacky, and that was good in a good way. But I think we needed to move on. I think we needed to evolve, but we still need to keep the fun.
I agree, but do you think some of that evolution's been driven by the customer? Because I think nowadays people want everything to go together like almost like a Tamiya kit.
100%. If someone goes to an Audi dealer, for example, and they go in and they hear the pipe music, they get the nice coffee, it stands to reason that, and all due respect to ladies, they like that experience, because it's obviously a customer service driven thing. And rightly or wrongly, they expect a kit car company to give them the same level of service and quality. Not possible, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but the resources and the setups are just not geared up for that. But it has, driven by the coattail, dragged up by the scruff of the neck, it has improved in search, because a lady doesn't want to fall over on a patch of oil in a workshop, or she doesn't want to rip her handbag on a bit of metal that's sticky. Been there, done that, seen it. Not my handbag, of course, but you know what I mean. And so that has, I think, the bits we needed to improve have improved.
And it's always been a numbers challenge, because think back to the days when I was playing around with the Firefly and a few other people that were doing similar things.
Got that? Yeah.
Yeah, there's days where my bank balance, which I'd forgotten it as well. But you go back to some of the people at that time, we were all sort of working out of sheds and garages, and it's exactly what you said. It's never going to be an Audi main dealer kind of setup.
No.
They are very much moving up to that, more towards that level of presentation.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look around this hall today for a bit of proof, I mean, there's some great manufacturers here, great cars here. The standard of the industry is at an all-time high. All-time high.
Yeah.
And that's great to see.
And I think it's a very good shop window for anyone coming maybe the first time to a kit car show.
It's a British industry. It's primarily a British industry, which is something to be proud of. It's okay, we're a leisure hobby, but it's a bona fide British success story, the kit car industry.
Now, you've just popped a question into my head, which is always a dangerous place. As it's still called kit car, do you think because of the history of some of the products of the past 20, 30 years ago, would it be better if it was called something else?
No, I don't think so. I mean, people sort of talk about specialist cars and all that sort of low volume cars, but ultimately it's a kit car. People with, let's say, classic Lotuses, I've had a discussion with several of them over the years, and they get very upset if you just class our cars as being kit cars. But you look at how many Europas and your Landsworths supplied in component form. And my argument is, if you've taken a spanner to it, it's still a component car, regardless of whether it took you a weekend's work or 6 months' work. But no, I think we should be. The days when I came into the industry, there were cars that little boys would throw stones at. And that's that he's saying. And it used to be great fun then, but for the wrong reasons. And I think now it makes me proud as an old guy, looking back. And I think it's fantastic. But we needed to change. But no, kit car. I have this discussion with mainstream journalists all the time that sort of still, they always used to try and have a little swipe about kit cars and stuff. But everybody knows someone in their past or in their family that had a Dutton. Everybody knows someone that probably had a Robin Hood. These are people that created a legacy for our industry that people laugh at, maybe rightly or wrongly. But again, we're talking about quality and standards. If it weren't for them, there wouldn't be some of these manufacturers in this hall now. And lots of people started out by building a Robin Hood or a Dutton. And my view and my argument, anyone say to swipe at Tim, is that anyone that can sell 10,000 kit cars is going to demand my respect, and he gets it.
Well, you've got to say, he must be considered the granddaddy of the modern kit car industry.
He's one of them. Yeah, and Richard Stewart.
Oh, Richard, what a legend.
Chris Smith, bless his soul. You know, these are people like Graham Nern at Caterham Cars. I mean, you can have your own opinion on Caterham and kit cars, but that man was he did a lot for the industry where we are now. And of course, Colin Chapman. We can't go anywhere without Colin Chapman and people like him.
Yeah, very much so. Where do you see the industry heading? Because you'd say we've moved on very well. We've got really high quality products. People have put a lot of investment into cars. We can see that from like the rebirth of Westfield Chesil.
Absolutely,
they've done a fantastic job there. A lot of money been invested there. Where's the next sort of station for us to stop at?
It all depends on legislation, I think. I don't see the RB stopping at all. I think that there's always going to be outlets there'll always be fuel available, so we can still enjoy our cars for time immemorial, I hope. And I hope that we investigate things like hydrogen and things like that, personally, and e-fuels.
Yeah, I'm very much on board with that one. I think we could roll into a whole other video on that one.
I think so, probably, yeah.
But yeah, when I was saying about the next station, I should have probably said the next level is what can we do to take these cars even further? Because it seems very difficult in my small brain to consider where we can go next, because the quality of how these cars are being able to be put together now is outstanding. Yeah. When you consider if you went back 30 years to building a Dutton or a Robin Hood, when there was, I always remember I had a conversation with a Dutton owner, and he says, what you got to remember is Caterhams and Westfields you assemble, Duttons and Robin Hoods you build, which I think was a fairly good summary.
Yeah. I think so. It's a hard one, really. I think it's a natural evolution. I think it's a market-driven evolution. I think we've always been a certain extent the customer does the R&D, or used to be kind of mandatory. And you've got to remember, the resources for some of these smaller manufacturers are not like a mainstream manufacturer, you know. I think using donors like the Porsche Boxster, for example, is a fantastic idea. MX-5 is a manna from heaven for the industry, I think, because it's all there. It's all there, you know. A mainstream manufacturer spent billions of whatever yen, euros, or whatever on developing a car. Why not use it? But the thing, EcoBoost engines, Ford EcoBoost, fantastic engines. A 2-litre that can produce 230 odd horsepower out of the box.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Why would you say no? And I'm very much a fan. I know there's certain people that are critical, but with the body kit cars, I think that's maybe a bit of it strong here. And again, I'm thinking off the top of my head, which we know is dangerous, is they're almost like the new Robin Hood and Duttons, not in the quality of product, but in the way that I'm able to get people into the industry and to get to build something.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. You have me worried there for a minute, but yeah, definitely. I think that's a very sage, a sound thing to say that.
Yeah, because you come in and you put panels onto an existing car and you finish it nicely. Your next step is to go and then talk to somebody that will supply you a chassis and a body kit, and then go to that step. Because that's the only thing that does worry me. And when you look around, sort of what is now the budget end, I'll look around the hall because I'm thinking of products like MEVs, the entry point with MK cars with their MX5 kit, and then with Quantum with the MNR 141.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah.
They're now your entry points, which is
very much,
which is quite an investment if you're doing.
Yeah. I think in the old days, makes it sound old, but it's very, I hate that cliche really, but in the old days, I think you could supply anything and people would tend to buy it. And because it was a kit car, he was glorified in lots of people's eyes, a Meccano set. It didn't really matter what they ended up with, but now it does. And hallelujah to that really, because you mentioned some companies, I mean MEV and MK, I mean what they're doing is incredible really. And I think people's perceptions have changed. They don't want something for $4,000 anymore. If you try to sell a kit car for $2,000-3,000, DIY build, I think people would probably be very sceptical, being fair. Now they want quality. They demand quality, and they're going to get quality.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's the old thing. If it's that cheap, there must be something wrong, and I think people would go with that.
Yeah, well, in the old days that was good. You could do anything. You could literally pile them high and sell them cheap, as Tim did. All due respect to Tim, think he's great. Pilgrim. There's companies that just let they piled them high and they sold them cheap. Tim will make no bones about that. He did care. People say he didn't in some cases, but he did. He cared implicitly. He makes out he didn't or he doesn't. He did. He really did. And he still makes him very proud. I spoke to him a while back, Tim, and he said he wants to retire, but he said, well, I'm 74 years of age. What would I do? And I think there's an element of that. He'll always carry on. But, he's now reinvented himself 20 odd years ago, creating amphibious kits. And he sold 250 of them, which is fantastic.
Wow, I didn't realise he'd sold
250 of them.
And the great thing about those, that I can't sort of give any defined numbers on it, that's a car that's been featured quite a lot in the mainstream media as well, isn't
mainstream media, yeah, exactly right. There's always pictures of David Williams driving one or something, on mainstream TV. And that's great. And we're going back to the budget. I don't think there is such a thing as a budget level anymore, but there's entry levels for these companies. MK have reinvented the wheel, and so have GBS. GBS. And I mean, when you think what they what they acquired and bought were great projects. Brilliant. Indy and going back to the Robin Hood heritage of volume. Yeah. But they've created cars now which are light years above, still keep the same ethos, still keep the fun, because at the end of the day, it's all about fun. And they've both achieved that. But when you look at where both of those are at the moment, you can still go and spend hard-earned money, and you're going to spend to build an MK, you're going to spend 12, maybe 10, 12, 13,000 pounds. But what you're going to get out of that is something that you can be proud of, that if you choose to sell it, you're going to get a good return on. Because once upon a time, you built some kit cars and you might as well, as long as you enjoyed it, you could never look at that as an investment. And that's the thing. You can, jumping up the other end of the market, you can own the Caterham for 2 years and get your money back on it. It's an undiscovered secret.
Well, the old joke used to be, the only way to make a small fortune out of a kit car is to start with a big one.
That's a football club one. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. That analogy applied here. I mean, I've seen over the years, and it is painful, people coming into the industry with hearts sort of beating out of their chest with the best intentions. We're going to do this. They spend lots of money on setting up factories, merch, before they've sold a car, which is nice because it's corporate. Yeah. I'm not going to mention names, but that's not just, it could be multiplied many times over the years. It's painful because I've seen so many lose their shirts, for want of a better description. And it's such a shame. But now you kind of don't get that. I think people are a lot more savvy, a lot more cautious, but they're going to do it because you can't afford to squander money on for no reason. And And I think that applies in all walks of life. Now things are more considered, and the ultimate thing is, it's a leisure hobby, and I don't think there's one that gives more fun and more reward in terms of fun and enjoyment, really.
Yeah, because this, you can go and play around at golf, you come back and tell somebody you score, that doesn't really tell you much. But if you can show somebody, go out and enjoy what you spent your time on, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. And when I came in, I said about the fun aspect. There's some hairy stories that I could tell, but a lot of them I couldn't tell. But bits falling off cars, fuel tanks falling out and stuff. It doesn't happen anymore. And I do, a perverse way, I almost miss a bit of that. But then when I'm
the moment when the car's going to kill you.
Oh yeah, when the wheel falls off, which has happened to be 120 mile an hour at a test track I used to have. And I miss that, but in a perverse sort of way. But then I wake up in the real world and it makes you really proud that that's not going to happen these days. Certainly the cars that a manufacturer will give us to drive, to test and to demonstrate a car to a member of the public. It just won't happen anymore. And I'm confident of that. There's mishaps here and there, but the quality, IVA, people say IVA was, or SVA, of course, to start with, was, it's going to kill the industry. And it was all doom and gloom. And we've had that, but this industry is strong and it rebuilds and it comes back stronger. But IVA is fantastic because it's a work. I said to people, don't expect to pass first time. If you do, great. But if you don't, he's going to give you a worksheet you work through. And once you've done that, the car is good to go.
It's like an official seal of approval as well.
100%.
And it also did, going back to some of those more exciting projects that were around at the time, it filtered those out.
Oh, yeah, exactly that. I didn't need filtering that. But I wish that probably a little bit controversial, but I wish that the DVLA or VOSA would work more closely with us, really, because we want to find out what they need from us, and we are interested. I'd love to go to an IVA station more than I've been. Well, just to be allowed to talk to an IVA, and I hear great stories from people building cars. But I've had really great interaction with IVA examiners who really wanted to find out about a car they built. And of course, the more they see, the more they'll understand. The more it helps everybody. And certainly at the moment, the industry seems, and I whisper it, seems to be on a crest of a wave again. Even on a wet day, go back to Newark, all due respect to Kevin Musson years ago, the man I've got a lot of regard for. If it was raining outside, we might not have anyone in here. So the interest in the industry is such, on a wet day in Nottinghamshire, the hall is pretty full. You're good.
Yeah, well, I think we're all a little bit fearful of what was going to come in the door because it was it was a little bit inclement when we all
certainly yesterday afternoon we were setting up. That's for sure. Swung down the A1. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But Steve, that has been absolutely fantastic. I love that insight, and you've been around the industry for a little while. I was going to say a long time,
40 years next year.
Oh, you're going to have a party?
No. Every day's a party doing my job.
Steve, that has been absolute fantastic.
My pleasure.
Now, if you want to find out more about what Steve gets up to with TotalKitCar.com. Every Friday, it's Steve Says.
And news about the industry. And I'm really proud of this. I've not missed, since I started that website with a blank Word document, £100 domain name, and a lot of passion, on Christmas Eve 2001, I think. I've not missed a single Friday update. Now, I don't know what that says about me, but I'm quite proud of that fact. So every Friday, and in May.
And you can buy TKC magazine in the shops.
Bi-monthly, every 2 months, So that's 20 years old this year.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Well, actually, 20 years old, does that make you the longest kit car magazine title? Because as much as our friends at CKC are good friends of the channel, that became CKC after you started CKC, mate.
I think Adam's celebrating a 10-year on that this year. Good, well done to him. That's great. Obviously the granddaddy of all is Mr. Philby. I like to call him Philby, but no, Peter. Yeah, I mean he's the granddaddy of it all in that respect. And the guy before him was a guy called Tony Bostock, who was a hero of mine. who wrote about kit cars in hot car mechanics before that. So,
No, you really are going back a few years there, aren't you?
yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm afraid, yeah. But I love it. I still get the same buzz I got nearly 40 years ago, so I still enjoy it.
Well, to be in this industry, you've got to have a passion, and you certainly showed that to us today.
Thanks, Joe. Cheers.
Brilliant. So that's where you can find out about TKC Mag and TotalKitCar.com. And please, if you've enjoyed this video, if you could click that like and subscribe to 7 Spot, that would be really appreciated.
Bits falling off cars, fuel tanks falling out and stuff. It doesn't happen anymore. And I mean, I do, a perverse way, I almost miss a bit of that